Yeah. Okay, so let's support our, sun racing. Okay, Patty's going to do a presentation tonight. I think she's going to make it work.
I don't have any movies embedded in mine. All right, this is going to be real simple, and I probably should have done this a while ago to explain this all to you, because I've had questions here and there on how we do this, and I just want to give you a little idea of how I do it. So, getting this started here. Just hit enter. Nope, it's not. Yeah. So I'm going to have the same problem with Paul. Let's call this. Okay, so here is the sign-up sheet for the Truggies from last week. From Sunday, and it's the marked up version. So you see where you've signed in. You can see where I've crossed off people who are not going to compete, because this is what I hand to Scotty so that he knows what position everybody's in for the race. And you see the position numbers we wrote. Everybody's listed according to from the highest average down to the lowest. So this is real simple since we don't have A, B, and C on this. So you can see I've written the positions over there, and then all I do is hand that off to Scotty, and then he's got it right there in front of him when he goes to announce the race and say who's there. How we get these averages now. I think what I'm going to show you next is something a little different here. Okay, now this is what I want to talk about. This is the two-wheel drive. Because this has an A and B, I wanted to show this to you. So what we do is count up the number of drivers. In this case, it was 18. And I have this little cheat sheet that I use. This thing here, I don't know if you can see these numbers on here, but if you have 18 drivers right in here, then you have 9 and 9 in each one. Now that's easy, you can kind of think, but when you have 22 drivers or something, it's kind of hard on the flash to think of how many are you going to have in each race. We try to have, if there's an odd number, we try to have more racers in the A race than in a lower class of race, because I think that the A racers are a little more experienced. They can handle having more cars on the track as opposed to, in a D class or a C class, having 8 cars in there is a little more difficult for them. So I use this cheat sheet when I'm setting these up. So I'm going to go back, if I can, to the two-wheel drive. No, I don't need to. I'm just going to go forward on this. All right, so this is the report from the Truggies that was printed after the race. And if you notice here, Sarge's laps are really long. Now this is a tech race, and normally we should have, the faster guys are in the 30s, right around low 30s. The middle guys are in the 40s. This is outrageous, but that was because her transponder wasn't working. And the same with Ivan here, his transponder wasn't working. So this is what the report looked like, and then I'll show you what my copy of the report looked like that I marked up. So what I did was, I do have an option in Flipside that I can, if the number of laps that they missed, like here where you see 110.456, if that was an even number of laps, I can actually fake it out in the Flipside program and actually print out a different report that'll look fairly decent. But if it's an odd number of laps, then it messes up everything, because all I can do is split a lap. I can't divide it by 3, I can't divide it by 6, I can only split it in half. So for instance, if that 205 was actually 9 laps, I can't do anything with it. If it was like for Yvonne there, that 80.238, he's pretty fast, so even dividing that in half, that'd be 40 seconds a lap. That's really unusual for someone like Yvonne to be doing a 40-second lap consistently, So in this case for him, I just took those out of the stats so that I don't have them in my laps. And then I took his starting average from that sign-up sheet, and I put it in as his average and as one of the laps. And that way it doesn't change his standing anywhere in our, in the program. And for Sarge, I just took that one lap, the 66.114, because I actually didn't have an average for Sarge because she just started driving. So I took that and I put that in as her average. So rather than her starting out at 000, she'd be starting at 66.114. All right. So now how I go about doing this, this report, I grab all this data and I put it in a spreadsheet. And it takes me, I think I figured out about 3 minutes of report. So what I usually have 14 reports or something. So very simple to do. And then from that spreadsheet, I have created a database, and the database is the one that I manipulate to get all these calculations for cumulative averages, weekly averages, last car standing. I'm going to show it to you, actually. I actually have it open here. Here's my database. This is my database. So what I can do here is, say for instance, this is my weekly averages. This is just a report off of all the data. So this is the weekly averages. So you see I pull in a lot of the actual data from the race so that I know exactly what time that race ran. I pull in whether it was an A, B, or C, or D, two-wheel tech, truggy tech, your name, and you can see how important the name is here, that I have, 85 Dennis Wood Truggy. I try to keep that, because I do have to key off of that, and I'll show you how I do that. Right here, I can actually change the selection so that all I look at is Carl's two-wheel drive. And then that'll show me all of Carl's two-wheel drive, and that's his averages for those weeks. So you can see 1.6 for the tech and the oval, 122 for the tech and the oval. So I can do all kinds of different things with this. It's really kind of neat. Then the other thing that I do is you know that I keep track of the start position. So I actually can show you, now this I did at home. I actually said, show me all the racers who started in 8th, 9th, or 10th position. See, I clicked them out there. And I said, show me out of all those, which ones of those finished in 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. So here's the list. Look at all that. So all those people started in the last positions, but ended up in the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd position. And then you can do it any way that you can think of. You can do all that. So I love this, that I have all this information available to me. The other thing that I do is last car standing, so we know who the winners are. So there's our winners each week. So if anybody asks me, I know that stuff. And then the cumulative averages, I don't know if that's the one I was looking at before. This is the one that's the actual average that you see on your sign-up sheet. So this changes after a week of racing. And let's see, what else did I want to show you? Here's what the statistic, well, I already showed you that, okay. And then if I go back to my PowerPoint and see if I can get this started again.
You update that weekly?
I do that right, I update it right after the races. And then I go down here, and there's your finished product. This is the Truggy Tech sign up for next Sunday. All right, so you can see there's Sarge's 66.114, and then moving on down. So if anybody has questions about things, if you're having any problem with, I try to catch all these little things that are happening, either a car breaks down or a transponder doesn't work. If you've seen a sudden upward trend, or not a trend, but an upward jump or downward jump in your average and you think something's wrong, come and talk to me, because we don't want you to be, if you're supposed to be, we want you to be positioned where you should be, not to have something go wrong with your car and make it put you in some other, class or something. All right. So if you see something, speak up and tell me, and we can look at it. I make notes in my database. I note if I make a change, so I actually put a note in that cell, so I could say it was this amount. I changed it to this because of a transponder issue, and so that I can at least see what I did, because go back 3 weeks, I can't remember what I did. So that's how I do that. Yes, Kenny.
In the spot, how do you, being you're here in this area, how do you computer determine when you jump up a class? You have to run so many races or so many seconds?
No, right now we're calculating, we're adding all the races. When we start out, we use last year's ending average, and then we did that for about 3 weeks. And then after 3 weeks, we took out last year's average. So now you're only averaging in the races that you raced. Got an average.
So it takes more than one race to jump your average up or down?
Yeah, because now by the time you're into, what are we into, how many races, 6 or 7 races, yeah, it's not going to make that much difference. I mean, it makes a difference, but it's not as great. But when you have a jump like, you know, Yvonne with 102 seconds or something, that's going to make a big, major impact on his average. So that's why we do those changes. And when we were having the trouble 2 weeks ago, originally, oh my God, very many changes, so it's not such a bad thing to do anymore. So, and that's really all I got, just to show you how we do that. And it's a very smooth operation now. When I come up and have you guys all sign up, and then you can see why I have to have you signed up by 1:30, because I have to go in and position everybody, mark up who's ABC, just make sure that Scotty knows where everything is, how we can mark it on the board and all that. So, all right, so that's all I got. Does anybody got any questions for me?
Who's your backup?
Who's my backup?
Yeah.
Me, like if I'm too sick to go on the computer?
Yeah.
Whoa, Peter.
I do have all the instructions. Well, wait, I have all the instructions on how I do this. I actually have them written up in a Word doc. So, yeah, I mean, really, if you followed that, you could do it. It's just that by the time I've done it so many times now, I'm pretty fast at it. So it's not a big deal. Any other questions?